I wish I could tell you the Lovell family finally got justice today. Sadly, I can't. Almost 2 years after Emma Lovell was stabbed to death in a home invasion, one of the two teens involved is free to leave jail, even though he was on bail at the time of the crime. In a moment, we'll hear from Emma's husband, Lee. But first, we can finally show you security vision from that terrible night.
Moments before murder, two violent teens enter the Lovell family home, armed with a knife and no regard for those inside. Just days earlier, Emma and Lee Lovell were stealing a quiet morning together at the beach before Christmas. They were living the Aussie dream until it was all shattered on Boxing Day 2022.
We both discussed that, you know, Australia was the better choice for our family and to raise our kids here. But I'm really starting to doubt that at the moment, so.
It was 11:30 at night. Emma and Lee were in bed when they were woken by their dogs. Two teens were in their home, their front door camera capturing the moment they walked in.
It felt like it was over in like 30 seconds, but they'd run off and then like reality started to set in.
Emma opened their bedroom door to find one of the teens standing there. A fight broke out. She chased them outside. Emma was stabbed in the chest on the front lawn. Lee stabbed in the back. He spoke with a current affair a day after, still shell-shocked.
When did you realise that Emma wasn't going to survive her injuries?
Well, I didn't. I thought she was, like, because I suppose the work the paramedics were doing at the time, I know she didn't have a pulse, but then they said they'd got a pulse back.
Two 17-year-olds were arrested and charged with Emma's murder, both with lengthy criminal histories of violence and robberies. Lee spoke out earlier this year on the shocking youth crime statistics.
Convicted of 84 offences by the age of 17, yet has never spent a night in jail.
He isn't 13 or 14. He is 17 and 4 months away from being 18.
The teen who inflicted the fatal blow pleaded guilty to murder, the judge ruling the act particularly heinous, which allowed for a greater sentence. Justice Tom Sullivan sentencing the teen in May to 14 years behind bars. For the first time, we can reveal the reasoning behind Justice Sullivan's decision.
The Lovells were ordinary citizens, enjoying their family life in their home where they were entitled to feel safe. What occurred on Boxing Day evening violated that entirely. The consequence of this act was the loss of an innocent woman's life, but also the production of rippling traumatic effects on other innocent persons, particularly Mrs. Lovell's family.
The other teen was acquitted of murder, his lawyers successfully arguing he didn't know his friend had a knife, relying on this CCTV. Instead, he was found guilty of burglary and assault. Today in sentencing, it was revealed he'd been released on bail just hours before Emma's murder. But Justice Michael Copley today decided the repeat offender had served his time after nearly 2 years in custody, free to go with no probation.
As if the Lovell family needed any further pain, well, they got it anyway. Emma's husband, Lee, joins me. Lee, he gets his life back. No conditions on his freedom. What can you even say?
You know, prior to going today, I had my suspicions that he was going to walk out today, but just that realisation of what's happened is pretty challenging to accept, to be honest. So, but there's not much I can do about it, really. So.
You've waited almost 2 years for the legal part of this nightmare to be over. How are you and the girls after today?
Look, I'm just trying to sort of get on with my life, really. Like, I think it can be very easy to focus on the failings I think we've suffered and be like bitter and angry. But I just don't really want to sort of get that way. So I'm just trying to make our lives as normal as I can. And, you know, we've all still got to go to work and go to school and get on with life. And that's what I'm trying to focus on, really. So.
You do seem a bit defeated, though, Lee.
Oh, it's hard not to be. Like, it just, I wanted justice for Emma, I wanted justice for us, and I just don't feel that, like, we've got that. And until, like, things start to change for the court system and the laws are implemented, then how is this ever going to change for us or for anyone going forward? So
we learned today that by the age of 17, he'd already committed 104 crimes. He was released on bail that Boxing Day morning, and within 24 hours, Emma was dead. So, I mean, the cycle of violence probably shouldn't surprise us, right, Lee? Crime, court, release, repeat.
Yeah, it's just, as you said, like, there's probation orders and, you know, not really sort of being locked up as to how we got to this point. And, you know, even the judge today was saying, you know, at the time you were on probation, but you still did what you did. But I suppose I just would have thought today he was going to, even though he sort of spoke about the guy and the seriousness of the crimes, you know, still ended up giving him like 18 months for what had happened. And, you know, for a second there, for a glimmer, I thought he was going to sort of impose a longer sentence, but it just never came, so.
I mean, this is a person, he's back on the streets, Lee. Do you think the punishment he just copped is any deterrent?
No, not at all. No, like, no, it's not, is it? You know, until people start getting punished for what they're doing, for the crimes they're doing, how is anyone ever going to, how is anything ever going to change for people going forward?
And look, I mean, I'm all for giving young people a chance, Lee, but I'm even more for people and being safe in their own homes. Will you ever get over this?
No, I don't think so. No, like there's some aspects of it that you know, like you've got to carry and move forward, like with grief, and you know that's been pretty challenging for myself. But when it comes to, like, I suppose, feeling safe on a house, I've done what I can. But you know, there are some times when I'm still woken up in the middle of the night and, you know, checking my phone for the camera, and you know, again, you think that someone's in your house or the back garden, and like, I'm not too sure that'll ever change anytime soon, really. So.
Yeah. And I think that goes to the very heart of this, right? I mean, you deal with your loss every single day. You've got your girls growing up without their mum, and then you have this 17-year-old. He gets to enjoy his Christmas. Do you?
Oh, we will enjoy it as best as we can being here this year, but it's it will be challenging for all of us not having Emma in our house and, you know, completing our family like it was. So, and as you said, like, you know, for that person, they get to carry on with their life, you know, and enjoy their life. So, yeah.
And even going back to May, that was when the other 17-year-old was sentenced, and that was to 14 years for murder. But with good behaviour, he's out in less than 10, so he's free for his 30th birthday. It does make you wonder, what was Emma's life worth in the eyes of the judicial system?
Oh, yeah, especially it really bothered me when, you know, I think it was like last March when Anastasia Palaszczuk was talking about if there was a crime committed at night time, you know, like a stealing a car with violence, then they were going to impose this like 14-year maximum sentence. But that was all just smoke and mirrors. It never came to fruition, you know. It's not as if we could have implemented that like with our case now and got some sort of justice for him, you know. But it's almost like, why did you say that for if that was never going to happen, you know? So. Yeah. I just feel we feel pretty let down by this justice system. So.
Yeah, and I think you've been really clear on what you want. I mean, you've talked about tougher sentences and bail laws, more police patrols at night, and much better support for victims' families. There is a new government since we last spoke. They made some big promises. Do you have faith that things will change for the better?
I'd like to think they're going to try, but it's not just about changing laws. There needs to be like a judicial review, and you know the courts and the judges need to have the guidelines changed so they can actually implement these laws and lock people up. And I'm not saying I agree with locking up everyone, you know, every child for like a maximum sentence. I've never really advocated for that, but I think if you're sort of crossing the line and, you know, manslaughter and murder charge, then yeah, maybe you do need to be locked up for a longer time. But yeah.
Yeah. Look, Lee, I'm just so sorry. I wish there was something more that I could say that makes it better, and I know there isn't. But look after your girls and send them my love. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
It's really hard to watch, isn't it? And we've just received a statement from Queensland's Attorney General, and in it she says, I know this sentence will not meet community expectations. It does not meet mine. She'll consider all aspects of today's sentencing and get more advice about her legal options.